we got a bunch of games tonight in the NBA, Joe. Why don't we start in Detroit, and then we'll do the rest after the break. The Blazers are in town against the Pistons, who, believe it or not, Joe, the Pistons have now fought themselves to one game under at 17-18. They have been on an absolute tear. I believe they have now won 6 out of 7, including beating the Timberwolves on Saturday. They are laying 6.5 at home to the Blazers tonight, 224.5 the total.
Yeah, and listen, Charlotte, I would consider to be on that same Trailblazers conversation. Orlando's got absolutely no offense, but has played good defense. You know, you look at those 3 wins here, Minnesota, Charlotte, Orlando. Sure, you lost to Denver, but you took them to the wire. And then you're coming off that Sacramento win. I mean, they are playing great basketball here. Very hard to go against them in this spot. No Jeremy Grant, I believe, still for Portland. Yeah, I don't think these two teams are on the same level anymore.
I don't either. And that was, like you said, losing that game to Denver. That was the last game of that West Coast trip, and they had won every game on that trip. And like I said this to Scotty last week, like East Coast teams don't go on that trip and win every game.
Nope.
They just don't.
Correct.
Usually you're lucky to split on a West Coast trip like that, and they did a hell of a job, and they only lost that one game there in Denver. The Suns are in Philadelphia tonight against the Sixers. So as of right now, minus 3.5 for Philly, 222.5 the total. That tells me, even though they list him as a game-time decision, that Embiid's going to play tonight, Joe, is what that tells me.
Yeah, and the Suns have lost 4 games in a row. They are 5-10 on the road this season, and nothing about this team screams turnaround here. I can't bet them. To me, it's all about Philadelphia.
All right, Joe, here's the rest. Let's do some more of this NBA for tonight. The Pacers are in Brooklyn against the Nets. Pacers minus 10.5 on the road. 222.5 is the total. There are, a bunch of guys out. Cam Johnson's out for the Nets, of course. Russell's game time. There's a few guys there. But, I mean, the Nets, Joe, whether they're missing guys or not, have been pretty good at covering these bigger numbers at home throughout the season. Yeah. Indiana is playing a lot better right now. That's a very big number at the Barclays.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is also a dead under. I mean, the Nets beat the Pacers 99-90 at home back in early December, and it kind of feels like, especially with the weapons that Brooklyn's not going to have access to here tonight, it feels like we might, in fact, get an under in this one. I know the market's always going to think and associate Indiana with an over, but I'm not buying it. They've slowed things down here. They've done a pretty good reason. They've done a really good job of being a little bit more efficient instead of up-tempo. I think we get a very similar 110-95 kind of game, and this thing lands under the 223.
Under for Joe out at Brooklyn. We cross the river, and we go to the Garden, where we have the Magic and the Knicks tonight. Knicks right now, minus 12.5, 209.5. Now, before this year, Joe, the Knicks always had some problems with Orlando. Not this year. They have smashed them, pretty much every time out. I mean, they beat them by 15, beat them by 9, beat them by 23. The Knicks have had no problem with the Magic this year as they look to sweep them 4 games, already done with the season series after tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've already seen this, right, from this Knicks team, have we not, against the Magic? Yes, I get it. The Knicks offensively have been fantastic, but how in the world is Orlando going to score enough points to get this thing up and over the total here? And I know it's 209.5, but it just feels like the Knicks, hey, let's get a win. And let's be good to go here, and let's get out of here, especially coming off of that hard-fought game against OKC in which they laid it all out there. I don't know. No Jalen Suggs, no Paulo Banchero, no Anthony Black. I mean, How are we getting more than 85 points from Orlando in this one? I think it's a dead under.
Bucks are in Toronto against the Raptors. Bucks minus 6.5 on the road. 230.5 is the total. Couple guys with some game time designations, but with a minus 6.5, you're pretty sure Giannis still going to be out there.
Yeah, no, to me, Bucks in a blowout spot here. I believe total, maybe even a PRA for Giannis in this one. Feels like it might not be a bad look. It feels like a good opportunity for Milwaukee to get it done here tonight in a big way.
Spurs are in Chicago against the Bulls. Spurs minus 3.5 on the road. 235.5 our big total of the night.
What am I missing here? The Spurs are 6-9 straight up on the road. They're playing their third game in 4 nights, and their last game went to overtime against Denver. So now we've got a Chicago team playing for their third time in 6 days and just beat the Knicks. They've also beat 5 straight, the Spurs, this Chicago team. I love the return of Lonzo Ball off the bench. Has really elevated the second team here. I think getting points is a gift here tonight with Chicago.
Yeah, and two teams that do play a lot of overs, Joe. That's why you got that. Yes. I mean, the Bulls' defense has been optional with them a lot this year. And the same thing can be said with the Spurs on most nights. I'll slide one more in. Mavs and the Grizzlies. Memphis minus 4.5, 231.5. The total here. Of course, the Mavs have been trying to trudge along here without Luka.
Yeah, kind of hard here, but that was a brutal. I mean, they kind of hit a wall on that 5-game road trip Memphis did, and that's going to happen here, especially without Ja Morant. But this feels like a good get-right spot for Memphis against a very shorthanded Dallas team. I don't think the line's big enough. I think Memphis wins by double digits.